Hi, my name is Kate O'Meara, and I'm here with my friend and collaborator Karen Sorensen to
Hi.
talk about OER videos that we've been putting together for various English and Comp classes. One of the first points that I want to share is that making these resources can be hard, and it's even harder to do it without training, which is why collaboration can be an amazing opportunity to make something much better than one person can make by themselves. Karen and I collaborate at a number of levels. She helps me think of what my students will actually need by asking useful questions and leading me to think critically about my class's needs, which we can then fill. And then together, we come up with what aspects of the videos we're each qualified to make. Usually, that means that I use my class notes to put together a script that Karen can use to make a wonderful little video.
And one of the things I really like about this, Kate, is that this is what an instructional designer does, is works with subject matter experts and helping them to achieve their goals in their classrooms.
And we did precisely that. We started out by noting that many of my students, when they received notes on a particularly tricky subject, wanted to repeat those notes, sometimes again and again. And we wanted to give them an opportunity to use a resource rather than having to read off notes they took in class. It allowed them to be more attentive in class when I was explaining something, and then bring back this video and replay it as many times as they wanted. Karen and I talked about what that video ought to look like. We went through a number of possible visual presentation options and narrowed it down to the somewhat cartoony Miss Phillips, who seems to please our students quite a bit.
We just made up her name. I'm not sure if that was confusing or not to your students, if they wonder if she's a real person.
Well, they talk to her sometimes, and sometimes they accuse her of not having all the answers, but I guess it's wonderful because that's not my fault.
It's not you.
Here's a little bit of what she looks and sounds like in this video.
Hi, I'm your instructor, Ms. Jasmine Phillips. Today we will start preparing to create our 5-paragraph MLA style essay. We will work together, so at the end everyone can have a document to use and to submit for credit. Go ahead and open a Word document. When you have a blank Word document, we will be ready to move forward.
The best thing about Ms. Jasmine Phillips is that she's absolutely neutral. She is not the actual instructor. She doesn't have a particular accent. She does not have impatience with being repeated over and over again. And in that way, I think my students found her quite soothing.
And that was just, the voice was just a download from, it's a text to speech tool on the Read and Write Gold toolbar, which is a free plugin for educators. And your instructional designer can help you to find that and get that for yourself if you'd like.
We got really great feedback from students who were able to use these videos for note-taking and review purposes, and also to ascertain that they had understood the material correctly in class. Many of them have mentioned that having left my class, they use these videos anyway, because this material is useful beyond one course. We have to format our papers well into college and beyond. And this material doesn't really get old. So students definitely benefited from the opportunity to use this resource.
I noticed some have been watched over 700 times on YouTube.
And I think many of them are the same student hitting them again and again.
Well, that's what's very useful about it. That's why we made them, right?
Right. And as we went forward, we realized we had the opportunity to branch out. I have to say, I tend to be a little bit more conservative in my material production. Once I hit on something that works, I'm loath to try and do something else. But one of the benefits of collaborating with an instructional designer like Karen is that she has fantastic ideas and she's willing to risk trying something new. And sometimes the something new is even better. So in this latest video in our series, we didn't have Ms. Jasmine Phillips with her slightly computerized voice. We had a real voiceover artist, which was a fantastic addition. And my students commented on the warmth of the presentation. So that was a positive addition to what we had already been doing. So here is what the latest version of our efforts sounds like.
It is no secret that choosing our words carefully is important, especially in
Can you turn that up?
The types of words we use must depend on our personal style and what we need to communicate, of course, but also on the situation. In this way, words are just like clothes. You wouldn't wear a bathing suit to a wedding or a tuxedo to a pool.
Awkward.
You wouldn't speak the same way to your instructor or college president as you would to your cousin. You would not speak the same way to your grandmother as you would to a classmate. And of course, you would not write a college essay the same way you write a text to a buddy. This ability to switch between the way we communicate and present ourselves is called code switching.
So overall, my main point is that it's important to notice what students need. And once we pinpoint those materials that are the most necessary, we can experiment with how to make them in the best possible way. One of the amazing benefits of collaboration with an instructional designer is that not only she has fantastic ideas and skills and willingness to implement them in different and interesting ways, but sometimes she pushes me to really consider what is the most useful. And we can fill gaps in slowly. We also don't have to aim for perfection. I think as instructors, we sometimes lock ourselves into not using something until it's been perfected and can be used flawlessly every time. Our first video was cute and useful, but it was not nearly as smooth as our last video. And I think that's okay. We're learning and maybe eventually we'll go back and redo. But meantime, our students have tangible resources that they can access right now.
Well, and I think not only is the product get better, but our process gets smoother too. And we know how to work better with one another. And I've really enjoyed working with you because you bring clear ideas. You're an active collaborator. You don't just say, here's the script, but you're open to my ideas and my input. And you give me good critical feedback so I can improve. And I really enjoy doing this work with you.
Thank you. And I don't think I would have done any of this without you. Not because I'm not necessarily capable, but because the bar I would have had to clear to learn all the tools would have been too high. Plus, the joy of collaborating on something interesting really makes it a top priority for me. I want to work with you because it's fun, and so I keep doing it. And I think that that allows us to create products that the students can actually use.
Thank you.
And thanks to the OER grant for letting us continue working on it.